Almost everyone knows Freddy Fazbear, the face of Five Nights at Freddy's. Being the main antagonist of the series, Freddy has appeared one way or another in every single Five Nights at Freddy's title. This means that our bear friend over here has seen some major design changes throughout his time. Not only aesthetically, but also mechanically. In this video, we'll be taking a detailed look at Freddy Fazbear from every Five Nights at Freddy's game and analyzing his appearance, backstory, and mechanics to see how they have changed over the years. I will also be covering Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy later down the line, so if you guys enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's take a look at how our old friend Freddy has changed over the years. Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is probably the most simple incarnation of Freddy the series has ever seen. He is seen with a black bow tie and hat, along with his mic, which he uses to perform on stage. We can also see that Freddy has an Endo 01 model of endoskeleton by taking a look at his joints. More minor things to know about his design is that Freddy has freckles near his nose, he has blue eyes, and he has square-shaped teeth. Besides this though, there's not anything else standing out, so let's move on to his backstory. Freddy is one of the 4 animatronics who would sing songs on stage at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from 1988 to 1993. To save money, Fazbear Entertainment used the withered Freddy we know from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and refurbished him into what we know today. Customer complaints soon piled up, however, referring to mucus and blood leaking from those animatronic suits. Customers also commented on their horrible smell. These complaints were justified, as these odors and leaks were caused by a murder that had occurred at the old Freddy location, which resulted in a dead child being stuffed in the withered Freddy suit. Freddy, unlike any other animatronic in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, has a singular set pattern. Well, not so much of a pattern, more like a path, because it will not always happen at the same time, but he will always take the same exact route. Freddy's path goes like this. He will begin at the show stage alongside Bonnie and Chica before moving into the dining area. After this, he will be seen in the restrooms. Next, we'll be able to hear his iconic jingle coming from the kitchen. He will then skip the hallway and appear in the room right behind your right door. And this is actually when you're going to want to close your door. Some other noticeable gameplay features for Freddy is that you will hear his laugh every time he moves. Another is that you will not actually be able to see Freddy very clearly on the monitors. Instead, you should be looking out for these 2 white dots. Those are Freddy's eyes. Also, Freddy will only come after night 3, so you won't have to fight him off for most of the game. And lastly, when the power goes out, Freddy will be seen playing his jingle at your left door, before jump scaring you and sending you to a game over screen. Golden Freddy takes on the look of a cross between Fredbear and Freddy. Golden Freddy's color is different from Freddy not only in his fur color, but also his bow tie and hat, which we can see has a bluish purple color. This resembles the palette of Fredbear in the Ultimate Custom Night Secret Jump Scare. However, some people think this could just be the lighting and that they are actually black. We can also see that Golden Freddy is missing his eyes, has an open jaw, and is in a slumped over position, which are all caused by his lack of an endoskeleton. While Golden Freddy's backstory is up for debate, we do know a few small details about his character. First, Golden Freddy is a mysterious ghost-like entity, seen by his ability to teleport into the player's office, and also cause them to hallucinate. We also know that Golden Freddy is haunted by a specific spirit, but that spirit's name has not been confirmed yet. Although, we are pretty sure that this spirit is a girl. This is because of Golden Freddy's laugh that sounds like this. Some people in the community believe Golden Freddy to be a victim of the missing children's incident, while others believe Golden Freddy could be the spirit of the child we play as in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Golden Freddy is a secret 5th animatronic that can appear on any night, although he is most likely to appear on night 1. To make Golden Freddy appear, you will need to watch this poster on cam 28, which shows Freddy holding his microphone. Keep switching back and forth to this camera until you see the poster change to a photo of Golden Freddy's face. Then pull down your camera without switching from cam 28 and he will be sitting in your office. Here he will proceed to jump scare you and crash your game. You can prevent this, however. Once you see Golden Freddy appear in your office, if you quickly pull your camera back up, he will go away. Another way to see Golden Freddy is to head over to the custom night menu and set the difficulty to 1987. This will give you the same jump scare from Golden Freddy. Withered Freddy shares a very similar look to normal Freddy with very few notable differences. One difference we can see is that Withered Freddy now has 2 black buttons under his bow tie. We can also see that he has a much bigger hat than previously. Additionally, Freddy is missing the freckles that he had in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Not to mention, Withered Freddy has a much bigger mouth now, with his upper and lower jaws being separated and his teeth going further down the side of his head, which is a result of the Withered Freddy now using an Endo 02 opposed to an Endo 01, like we saw with the original Freddy. We can also very clearly see that this Freddy is, well, withered and seems to be broken down. Other than that though, that's all the notable differences. Withered Freddy was originally a performer at Fredbear's Family Diner. That was until the closing of Fredbear's Family Diner, which led to this incarnation of Freddy to be decommissioned and sent to a new Freddy Fazbear's location titled Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the one we all know from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This Withered Freddy would also go on to be refurbished and used for the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 animatronics, since Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a prequel. Withered Freddy, much like Freddy in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, will begin to move on night 3. He will begin in the parts and service room before then going to the main hall, then onto party room 3 before appearing right outside of your office. This is when you will need to prepare for him to enter your room, as next time Freddy moves he will be standing right in front of your desk. This will give you a few seconds to put on your Freddy mask. Do this correctly and Freddy will be reset to his original position. Fail to put on the mask quick enough however, and you will be met with a jump scare. Golden Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 shares many similarities to Golden Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. However, there is one key difference, that being that this version of Golden Freddy uses the Withered Freddy model opposed to the model we saw in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. There are a few minor differences however, like the fact that this Golden Freddy is slumped over to the right, whereas the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Golden Freddy was slumped over to the left. And with this version of Golden Freddy, it is clear that his hat and buttons are black and not purple, unlike the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 version. Golden Freddy's backstory from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is not expanded on at all here, so there is no new information we have on the character. I'm not sure why his model changes from the withered one to the new one in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, being that he is a ghost and could have not been repaired like the other withered animatronics. But as of now, that has not been explained and most likely never will, as Golden Freddy stands as probably the most mysterious character in the series. Golden Freddy's gameplay is pretty simple in FNAF 2. Where in FNAF 1 he was more of an Easter egg, in FNAF 2 he is an actual animatronic. His mechanic is that he will teleport into either the hallway right in front of you or straight into your room. Here you will need to quickly put on your mask, which will cause him to disappear. If you do not do this fast enough, you will be jump scared. However, this time it will not crash your game. Also, I should mention that he only appears on night 6 or during custom night. Freddy's toy counterpart, unlike his withered one, strays very far away from his original look. One key difference we will notice is that Freddy is now a lighter shade of brown. Toy Freddy also has this plastic type material for his suit opposed to the fur-like suit we saw in the previous incarnations. We can also see that this Freddy maintains the hat, bow tie, and mic, as well as the 2 buttons we saw with Withered Freddy. One difference with the hat though is that this hat seems to be much bigger than the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 Freddy hat, and now has a red line going across it. This is to match with Freddy's new red cheeks, a trait shared among all the toy animatronics. A few minor details about his design is that we see the return of a smaller jaw similar to Five Nights at Freddy's 1. We also see the return of Freddy's freckles, and we now see a new design element for the animatronics, which is that Toy Freddy now has eyelashes. Speaking of Toy Freddy's eyes, they can also turn a glossy black color, which will happen when Freddy appears in your office. And one last thing I thought I should mention is that this Freddy now has a more closed off design, with none of his endoskeleton being exposed due to his new style of joints. Not much is known as far as the backstory for Toy Freddy, other than that he was a redesigned counterpart for Freddy Fazbear, made to be the mascot of the brand new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which he did until the toy animatronics went on to be scrapped only a few weeks after the restaurant had opened, due to malfunctions and the fact that the pizzeria was closing down. Unlike the previous Freddys, Toy Freddy will actually begin to move on night 1, although he is very slow. During night 2, he will then begin to be a little more active, before taking a back seat for nights 3 and 4, where he will slow down once again before becoming a lot more active for nights 5 and 6. Toy Freddy, similar to Freddy in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, takes the same path every time to get to your office. This path starts with Freddy at the show stage, which here I should mention that Freddy will always be the last one to leave. Then Freddy makes his way to the game area. After this, he will appear in the hallway in front of your office. Next, he will be a little bit closer to your office, but remain in that same hallway. And then finally, he will appear standing in front of your desk. Here, similar to Withered Freddy, you will need to put on your Freddy mask to scare him away. If done correctly, he will appear back at the show stage, but fail to put on the mask quick enough and you will again be met with a jump scare. Now, Shadow Freddy is kind of an obscure one, but I decided to just include it on this list because I want every version of Freddy in here. Shadow Freddy shares the same model as Golden Freddy, however his colors are different. Shadow Freddy is seen with a dark purple suit as well as glowing white teeth and eyes. Shadow Freddy is not an actual animatronic, however, and can only be seen as a brief Easter egg on the parts and service camera. Although there was no confirmed backstory for Shadow Freddy, one of the more popular theories for the character is that Shadow Freddy is the ghost of a previous employee who died to a malfunction while wearing the original Golden Freddy suit. This is because Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are the only two Shadow characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and they draw similarities to this minigame in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. But this could just be a theory. Like I stated previously, Shadow Freddy does not serve as an actual animatronic, and is more of an Easter egg. He can only be seen on the parts and service camera, and it is based on random chance if he will show up or not. Look at Shadow Freddy for too long, however, and he will crash your game, similar to Golden Freddy. But if you're able to switch cameras fast enough, you can prevent this. Shadow Freddy doesn't have his own jump scare, unfortunately, but still serves as a cool little Easter egg. Phantom Freddy's character model shares striking resemblance to Withered Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This is because despite minor changes, it is the same model. The only differences between the two being his new eyes, which are the same as Springtrap's, and his new green color, along with these burn marks across his suit. One strange thing I noticed that I do want to point out, however, is that when you see Phantom Freddy walking across your window, you can see that he is missing his lower right leg, but when viewing the extra menu, he is not. He is also shown in FNAF World having 2 legs. I'm guessing that the missing leg one that we see in game is the canon look for the character, and the leg in the extra menu and in FNAF World was just added to make the character more presentable in these parts of the games. Another strange thing that I should mention is that in the Help Wanted counterpart of Phantom Freddy, he actually uses the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 model opposed to the Withered Freddy one, which I thought was very strange since they do have the Withered Freddy model in Help Wanted. Although this could be to streamline the Phantom animatronics because, as we all know, Phantom Chica uses the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 model and not the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 model. So I'm not sure if this was a mistake on Steel Wool's part or something Scott actually asked them to change. Phantom Freddy is a hallucination of a burned version of Withered Freddy that the protagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 faces. Although Phantom Freddy is not real and cannot kill the player, he causes the protagonist extreme anxiety, which we all know from the heavy breathing after the jump scare. Other than the small details, however, we know nothing more about Phantom Freddy's origins. Phantom Freddy has no set path and will instead randomly appear in front of your window, where you will see him walking closer to your door. Stare at Freddy for a few seconds too long and you will be jump scared by him, which will shut off either your camera, audio, or ventilation. The best way to avoid this is to quickly open up your monitor or your maintenance panel as soon as you see him, which will cause him to disappear. Nightmare Freddy is definitely the most unique design so far, being a highly exaggerated take on Freddy Fazbear. We can see that this version of Freddy has a new model that is not based on any other model we have seen previously. We can also see that this version of Freddy is extremely withered and broken down, similar to Withered Freddy. He additionally now has red eyes opposed to Freddy's normal blue eyes, and this Freddy is also equipped with sharper teeth and claws. A few minor details to point out is that this Freddy is also missing his freckles, but keeps the iconic bow tie and hat. This Freddy also has 3 freckles on him, which are basically mini versions of himself, although these ones have white eyes and intact ears. While Nightmare Freddy's backstory is still unconfirmed, there are 2 major theories that could explain this animatronic. The first being that this is an exaggerated version of Freddy that the crying child who is bitten in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 minigames sees in his nightmares, which would explain the name Nightmare Freddy. However, others believe that these animatronics are not nightmares and are actually illusions created by William Afton to scare his son away from visiting Fredbear's family diner, as he knows the dangers of the animatronics after losing his daughter Elizabeth to baby. These illusions were introduced in the Five Nights at Freddy's book The Twisted Ones and could be a good way to explain these animatronics, but it was never confirmed whether or not these illusion discs are canon or not, so I'm still on the side that believes these are just the nightmares of the crying child. The way Nightmare Freddy works in the game is very different from the other incarnations of Freddy. This version of Freddy will attack you by spawning his freckles on your bed behind you. These freckles spawn one at a time, and once too many are on the bed, Freddy will jump scare you. You can fight these freckles off by turning around and turning your flashlight on, which will remove the freckles one by one. Freddy can do this as early as night 1, but the rate in which the freckles spawn will increase as the nights progress. When a freckle spawns, you will also be given an audio cue of them running or a visual cue of the lights flickering. Funtime Freddy is a brand new model for Freddy Fazbear once again. He is now more in line with Toy Freddy, but has some major differences. One of these being his color scheme, where for the first time we see Freddy in a white and pink color palette. Freddy has some new additions as well, like his new intercom on his chest, his hand puppet Bonbon, and his opening faceplate. Besides these features, some minor details are that Freddy has gotten his 2 buttons back. He no longer has his freckles, and Freddy maintains his same blue eye color from the previous games. Probably the biggest shift in Freddy's design, however, is that he can now talk and actually has a voice. Also, I forgot to mention his top hat is really tiny now. It seems to just vary in size from every Freddy Fazbear. Funtime Freddy is an animatronic that was created by William Afton, aka the Purple Guy, and was created to pose as a children's entertainer while also having a secret purpose of murdering children. This would explain why his stomach is able to open up and have enough room to hold a child, which we can actually see on Funtime Freddy's blueprint. Sister Location has a very different style of gameplay, so to keep this section in line with the rest of the Freddys on this list, I will be going over his custom night gameplay opposed to the story mode. Funtime Freddy's mechanic is that he will hide in either the west or east closet. After this, he will send his hand puppet Bonbon to attack you. If you hear Freddy command him to attack, then that means you need to close the door on the side that Freddy is on. However, if you hear Freddy mention a surprise, you must close the door opposite of where Freddy is located. If you are unable to do this, it will result in a jump scare. Rockstar Freddy is another very unique looking Freddy for multiple reasons. First off, we can see that his iconic black hat and bow tie are now a purple color. We can also see that Freddy's button has been replaced with a large star on his chest. Additionally, Freddy has returned to having his freckles and rose-colored cheeks from Toy Freddy. Some other minor details is that this Freddy now has rose knee pads, rose under his eyes, and a purple microphone, and more rounded off ears. The last notable thing about this incarnation of Freddy is that his upper and lower jaw are now separated and held together by these metal rods. It kind of reminds me of the way Fredbear's mouth is held up in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 minigames. There is no real backstory provided for Rockstar Freddy. The only information we have about this animatronic is from the category catalog menu in Sister Location, where we can see Freddy is labeled Smile and Servos Inc. So I'm assuming that this company has created this animatronic. While Rockstar Freddy was introduced in Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, he's only a real animatronic you play against in Ultimate Custom Night, and his mechanics are once again very different from any other Freddy. Rockstar Freddy will stand in your office throughout the entire night, but he will be deactivated. Occasionally throughout the night, he will randomly activate and ask for 5 Faz coins. If you are unable to pay him the 5 Faz coins, he will jump scare you. You get these Faz coins by searching the cameras and clicking on these icons. Each one will give you 1 Faz coin, so you have to make sure you're collecting these enough to pay him off if he decides to activate. The frequency of his activations are also dependent on which difficulty you set him to. Lefty is a variation to the Rockstar Freddy model with very minimal changes. These changes are mostly colors, with this Freddy being black and gray with a red bow tie and hat. Lefty also now has a golden microphone which he holds in his left hand opposed to his right. And Lefty now has 1 yellow eye and 1 missing eye. Between the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and Pizzeria Simulator, Henry, William Afton's previous partner in creating the animatronics, built Lefty to capture the marionette, a puppet that was possessed with the spirit of his dead daughter. Lefty was successful in capturing the puppet. This was all a part of Henry's plan to gather all of the remaining possessed animatronics and burn them to the ground to free their spirits. This is the cutscene we see at the end of Pizzeria Simulator. Similar to every other animatronic in Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, you will need to bait Lefty away from your office using sound. You can do this by using your motion detector to find out where Lefty is, and then luring him to a close room that is as far away from your office as possible. You can also check the vents to stop Lefty from coming in your office by flashing him with your flashlight. If you are unable to lure him away from your office before closing out for the night, however, Lefty will jump scare you. Molten Freddy is basically the wiring of Ennard from Sister Location in a massive pile, forming some sort of body for Funtime Freddy's mask and hands to rest on. His faceplate is now melted, and the pink color that it used to be has now been replaced with a brown rust color. His hat and bow tie remain, however the rest of his body is gone, and his one still intact eye takes on a sort of yellow reddish color opposed to its original blue. Molten Freddy is what was remaining of Ennard. It contains the collective consciousness of Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, and Ballora. There is not much else known about this character, other than the fact that at one point, Baby's conscious was a part of it too. That was until the other animatronics decided to kick Baby out after the events of Sister Location. Molten Freddy works the same as Lefty in Pizzeria Simulator, where you will need to use the motion tracker to find his location and play audio to lure him away. And once again, if you fail to do this, you will be jump scared. Glamrock Freddy is the most recent and definitely the most out there design Freddy has seen in the series so far. He now takes on a way more cartoony approach than the previous games, with a more sleek and seamless design. His colors have also shifted to primarily orange, tan, blue, and red. Freddy also now has the addition of fingernails and toenails, as well as these wristbands and shoulder pads. Other than this, Freddy maintains the hat, bow tie, and microphone, with an added blue strip to Freddy's hat. Freddy's teeth now take on a new approach, with 4 sharp teeth and a small bottom row of squared off teeth towards the bottom of his mouth. Some smaller details I noticed is that this Freddy now has an earring on his left ear, no longer has freckles, and now has paint on his face. Glamrock Freddy is one of the main performers at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex. He is the only animatronic in the Pizzaplex who has not been corrupted by Vanny and turned evil. This means that Freddy Fazbear now helps Gregory and protects him from Vanny, who is trying to kill him. Security Breach's gameplay is a lot more in-depth than the other Five Nights at Freddy's games, so I won't be able to squeeze in every detail from every moment with Freddy, but I will lay down his base mechanics in the game. Essentially, by pressing Q, you are able to summon Freddy to your location. Doing this will result in Freddy running from his location straight to you. This may take a few seconds, but once he arrives, you are able to climb inside his stomach. This lets you take control of Freddy. This not only gives you a better flashlight, making areas more visible, but also makes it so every animatronic on the map will ignore you. There is a downside to this, however. Freddy has a power limit. This means that you can only use him for a set amount of time before you will need to take him to the nearest power station to charge. If you allow Freddy to run out of power, however, before you are able to leave his belly, he will jump scare you. And that does it for the evolution of Freddy Fazbear. Let me know which character you guys would like to see in the next part, and also let me know if there's anything I can do better with these videos. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.